The Treasury confirms those long-awaited and highly anticipated $4,000 plus refund payments have started hitting bank accounts for millions of Americans, as it is highly suspected that $200 plus billion is going to be distributed to the American population over the coming days, weeks, and months. This is a lot of money that people need in a massive way, and that money is starting to flow pretty good now, and that's very exciting for a lot of people. Now, to be fair, obviously this does not reach everybody. The dollar amount is going to change for every single person. In fact, based on some remarks out of the president a couple months ago, he indicated that some people could be seeing upwards of $20,000 payments. Could you imagine that? A $20,000 deposit coming into your bank account? Well, that'd be amazing. And I want to make that very clear. That is certainly not going to be everybody, but there's going to be varying dollar amounts across the board. Some people might see $2,000, others might see $5,000, $8,000, maybe $12,000. It really depends on your specific tax situation, your filing status, your income level, the number of dependents you have, all of those different factors that play into your overall tax picture. And yes, that money is still starting to flow here. And for the next couple months, it will continue to hit bank accounts literally on a daily basis. Well, I should say at least Monday through Friday, obviously not on weekends, but you get my point behind that, right? The IRS doesn't process payments on Saturdays and Sundays. They're not sitting there on the weekend sending out direct deposits. But Monday through Friday, absolutely, the money is flowing. And we're talking about massive amounts here, massive amounts of money going out to people all across the country. All right. Anyway, so let's talk about what's going on here. Who is getting all this money? Why is there so much money being thrown around here? And what else are lawmakers working on right here, right now? Again, because they understand this whole affordability push. Yes, you've heard me talk about this a little bit recently where I've said, mark my word on this, 2026 is going to be the year of affordability. That's going to be the tagline of 2026. Affordability. Affordability. We're going to hear it all the time because that is the major pressing issue with the American population right now. People are struggling with grocery prices. They're struggling with rent. They're struggling with gas prices, utility bills, insurance costs, healthcare costs. I mean, you name it. People are getting squeezed from every single angle. And lawmakers know this. They see the polling data. They see the approval ratings. They understand that people are frustrated. They're angry. They're feeling the pressure. And that's why this whole affordability conversation is becoming so critically important right now. Speaking of that, as I talk here, I'm going to pop up some comments on the screen. I have pages and pages of comments here from those of you in this community that have called Chapter right there who are on Medicare, getting free help with your Medicare, getting the right and the proper Medicare plan and coverages for you and your personal needs, getting help with your initial enrollment in Medicare, getting your questions answered on Medicare, whatever it happens to be. About 10,000 of you in the last year have called Chapter right there to get free help with your Medicare. Absolutely amazing. So, as I'm talking here, I'll pop a bunch of those comments up. And again, I have about, I don't know, a dozen or so pages here of comments that I pulled out just in the last, call it 2 months or so. Amazing. Anyway, I'll have those up on the screen here as I'm talking. You can feel free to read through the comments. Amazing stuff. If you're on Medicare, just make sure to call Chapter there, and I'd love to hear from you. Just make sure to use the keyword Chapter within your comments so I can find it, and I'll add it to my list here, and I'll feature you in upcoming videos. All right, anyway, so this is obviously the tax filing season right here, right now. Okay, so basically now, well, it actually started back on January 26th, to be fair. January 26th, it was a Monday. That's when the IRS started accepting federal tax returns to be submitted, right? So it takes a little while, but that money does start to flow in. And some people are starting to see that hitting their bank accounts. Now, here's the thing. The IRS has a very specific process for how they handle these refunds. When you file your tax return, it doesn't mean the money shows up the next day. There's a processing period. The IRS needs to review your return, make sure everything checks out, verify all the information, cross-reference it with what employers reported, what banks reported, what investment companies reported. They're doing their due diligence to make sure that the numbers all add up correctly. For most people who file electronically and choose direct deposit, which, by the way, is the fastest way to get your refund, you're typically looking at somewhere between 10 to 21 days for that money to hit your account. Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it takes a little longer, especially if there are any issues with your return or if the IRS needs to do any additional verification. But generally speaking, that's the time frame we're looking at. Now, if you want to track your refund and see where it is in the process, the IRS has a tool called Where's My Refund that you can access on their website or through their mobile app. You can check the status of your refund 24 hours after the IRS receives your e-filed return or about 4 weeks after you mail a paper return. It'll show you when your return was received, when your refund was approved, and when it's been sent to your bank. And again, the big bulk of that money has not even been sent out yet. Just some of that money is starting to trickle in now. There's going to be a whole lot more coming. A whole lot more coming, like I said, based on the remarks out of the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent. They're anticipating upwards of $200 billion plus to be distributed basically over the next couple months here, which is honestly really exciting. That's a lot of money for a lot of people. Think about what that means. $200 billion flowing into the economy over the span of just a couple months. That's money that's going to be spent on groceries, on paying down credit card debt, on fixing cars that need repairs, on catching up on bills that have been piling up. That money is going to circulate through the economy, and it's going to provide some much-needed relief for millions and millions of American families who have been struggling to make ends meet. But anyway, basically from January 26th through obviously tax day, April 15th, all of our favorite day in the whole world, right? No, not at all. I mean, unless you're getting one of these huge refunds, then maybe it's a cool day. But most people are probably thinking, no, don't love that day. But anyway, April 15th, obviously being tax day. So during that, what is that? I don't know, 2.5 months or so, give or take. Is that about right? Yeah, a little more than 2.5 months. Just kind of, roughly adding here. A little more than 2.5 months is this time frame in which people are filing their 2025 federal tax returns and state tax returns if they just so happen to be in a state where they need to do that. And by the way, not every state has a state income tax. Some states, you're only dealing with federal. States like Florida, Texas, Nevada, Washington, Tennessee. There's no state income tax in those states. So if you live in one of those states, you're only filing your federal return. But if you're in a state like California, New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Illinois, you've got both federal and state to deal with. And sometimes those state refunds can add up to a pretty significant amount as well, depending on your situation. And then obviously all this money is flowing around. But according to the remarks that we've heard, again, out of the president, multiple people within the administration, the Treasury Secretary, multiple different people, we've continuously heard over and over that apparently this year, 2026, as people are filing their 2025 federal tax returns, that this is going to be the biggest refund year in the history of this country. Well over $4,000 flowing to the average person in their refund. Now, when they say average, that's important to understand what that actually means. An average is calculated by adding up all the refunds and dividing by the number of returns. So if some people are getting $20,000 and some people are getting $1,000, the average might be $4,000 or $5,000, but that doesn't mean everybody gets exactly that amount. Your specific refund is going to depend entirely on your unique tax situation. Obviously, it's going to vary a ton. Some people are going to get nothing. Some people are going to pay in a whole boatload. Some people are going to get $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, maybe even up to $20,000, like the president said, which, by the way, I'd like to know who those people are. Who is getting $20,000 back? I can anticipate this, but it's going to be a very, very, very small percentage of the population. But apparently that's what's going to be happening to some of them. I mean, to get a $20,000 refund, you're probably talking about someone who had significant withholdings throughout the year, maybe someone who's self-employed and made large estimated tax payments, or maybe someone with a lot of dependents and eligible for significant credits. Maybe they had some major life changes during the year that affected their tax situation. But yeah, $20,000 is not going to be the norm. That's going to be the exception, not the rule. Okay, now going forward throughout the year as well, we heard this out of the Treasury Secretary, is that apparently because of the big tax cut bill that was signed into law back on July 4th of 2025, that a lot of people didn't have their withholdings adjusted at that time, right? But now that we're in the new year, people apparently have adjusted their withholdings or will be adjusting their withholdings. And this is actually a really important point because a lot of people don't think about their withholdings throughout the year. They just kind of set it and forget it. But your withholding is essentially how much money gets taken out of your paycheck every pay period to go toward your federal income taxes. If you're having too much withheld, you're giving the government an interest-free loan throughout the year, and then you get that money back as a refund. If you're not having enough withheld, you might end up owing money when you file your taxes. Therefore, throughout the course of 2026, because of those changes within that massive reconciliation bill, the tax cut bill that was signed into law on the 4th of July last year, 2025, as people adjust their holdings or their withholdings, I should say that they're going to withhold less money, therefore more money flowing into their bank account every single month because of higher paychecks and therefore these huge refund payments as well. So what they're saying is this: not only are people going to see these big refund checks right now for their 2025 taxes, but going forward throughout 2026, they're also going to see bigger paychecks every single pay period because less money is being withheld from their checks. It's kind of a double benefit situation. You get the refund now, and then you also get more take-home pay throughout the year. That's a pretty good deal for a lot of people. So they're talking about a ton of money. Now, at the same time, I also want to allude to this as well. Lawmakers were just recently out this month, right here this month, they were out indicating that they're working on the next reconciliation bill. Okay, another big reconciliation bill, just like they did in the summer of last year. This is a single-party bill. In other words, since Republicans have control of everything right now, the House, the Senate, and the presidency, they have this ability to use reconciliation where they can basically get virtually anything done. Now, there are some restrictions. There are some things they legally cannot do within reconciliation, but basically they can get almost anything they want done within a reconciliation bill with a simple majority vote, not only in the House, but in the Senate as well, and then pass it on to the president and turn it into law, just like they did with the massive reconciliation bill this past summer. Reconciliation is a special legislative process that allows certain budget-related bills to pass with just 51 votes in the Senate instead of the usual 60 votes needed to overcome a filibuster. It's a powerful tool, and when one party controls everything, they can use it to push through major legislation without needing any support from the other side. They're already doing it right now, and they've indicated that they need to have meaningful progress on that piece of legislation before the end of this month, with a time frame of passage sometime between late spring and early summer. Let's see if they can do it, because I've said this before many times. Their timing is critically important right now, okay? Americans are getting irritated. Americans are getting annoyed. Americans are getting hammered. We're getting squeezed. We're getting disgruntled. And a lot of people are getting really angry, right? Drop a comment down below if you're getting angry, if you're getting disgruntled, if you're getting pretty upset with what is going on. And basically this whole affordability situation that everybody's experiencing, right? Prices keep rising. They keep lying to us and saying, oh no, prices are going down. Just trust us. Yeah, just trust us. Look at the numbers. Yeah, look at the numbers, which they've manipulated, right? They manipulate all the numbers and they're like, just look at the numbers. They're going down. Yeah, just believe us, right? Yeah, we're really going to believe all their numbers and their data. Yeah, that's a real smart move. Not right. I mean, we all go to the grocery store. We all see what's happening with prices. We all fill up our gas tanks. We all pay our electricity bills, our heating bills, our insurance premiums. We know what's happening in real life. And sometimes the official numbers that get reported don't match up with what we're experiencing in our day-to-day lives. That disconnect creates frustration, creates distrust, creates skepticism about what we're being told. So anyway, point being is that a lot of people are just getting really, really, really frustrated with this whole situation. And as a result, they need to act and they need to do something quickly here because people are losing their patience, right? Anyway, drop a comment down below if that happens to be you. I would love to hear that. I've seen it out there a ton, and I think a lot of people are feeling this exact same way. Obviously, not every single person, but that is kind of the consensus across the board right now. People want action. They want solutions. They want relief. They don't want to hear excuses or explanations or justifications for why things are the way they are. They want to see tangible improvements in their lives, in their bank accounts, in their ability to afford the basics. And that's why this whole tax refund situation, this whole affordability push is so important politically right now. Anyway, just want to point this out for you. Yep, money will continue to keep flowing here as these tax refund payments will continue to be distributed out of the Treasury on the federal level to people all across the country as they continue to submit their federal tax returns and get that money sent back to them in the form of their direct deposit payments right into their bank accounts. Remember, no more paper checks. That's not a thing anymore. No more paper checks will be distributed any longer. That's not a thing anymore. The president says no more paper checks going out. So if you were expecting to get a paper check in the mail, that's not happening. Everything is going direct deposit now. You need to make sure you have your banking information correctly entered on your tax return so that the IRS knows where to send your money. And honestly, direct deposit is better anyway. It's faster, it's more secure. There's no risk of a check getting lost in the mail or stolen from your mailbox. The money just shows up in your account, you get a notification from your bank, and boom, you've got access to your refund. It's simple, it's straightforward, and it's the way things are being done now. So anyway, just want to point this out for you. And again, this is what's happening. I'll keep you posted with everything going on. It's a wild time right now. We're only a matter of weeks into the year still at this point. I mean, obviously you could say, oh no, we're, more than a month in. Yeah, you're right. We are, but we're still only a handful of weeks into the year. 2026, it's already been a wild year. And I can say this much, a whole lot more is going to be coming. We've got tax refunds flowing. We've got potential new legislation being worked on. We've got all these discussions about affordability and helping Americans financially. There's a lot happening, a lot moving, a lot developing, and I'm going to be here covering all of it for you, breaking it down, explaining what it means for you and your wallet and your financial situation. Anyway, I'm here for you. Again, please subscribe down below if you're on Medicare. Again, give Chapter a call there. It's amazing. They've helped so many of you in this community. Again, well over 10,000 people just in this community so far. 10,000 people over the last 1 year, collectively saving well over $2 million in this community. Again, you saw a bunch of the comments that I popped up on the screen for you here. Again, that's not even all of them, just a few pages that I shared with you. The feedback has been incredible. People finding better plans, people saving hundreds of dollars a month on their premiums, people getting better coverage, people getting access to doctors they couldn't see before, people getting their prescriptions covered that weren't covered under their old plan. The success stories just keep coming and coming, and it's amazing to see. Otherwise, if you're on Medicare, if you need to enroll in Medicare, if you're turning 65 this year, if you hate your Medicare plan, if you can't see your doctor anymore, if your prescriptions aren't covered anymore, whatever it happens to be, call Chapter. I think you might be shocked with your optionality, your flexibility, the options you still may have right here, right now. A lot of people think they're stuck with whatever plan they initially chose, or they think they can't make changes, or they don't realize how many different options are actually available to them. But the reality is there are tons of different Medicare plans out there, tons of different coverage options, tons of different combinations you can put together to get exactly what you need for your specific situation. Give them a call, see what they can do for you. And again, it's free. You can see it right there, free. I've got nothing to sell on this channel, nothing. I have nothing to sell you, okay? Literally, I have nothing. Even if you came to me and was like, hey, I want to buy something from you, I'd be like, dude, I got like nothing to sell. I've got nothing to sell you. I don't know what I would even try to sell you in the first place. I've got nothing. This channel is about providing information, providing updates, providing value to you for free. That's it. That's the whole point. I'm not trying to sell you a course. I'm not trying to sell you a membership. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just here to give you the information you need to make better decisions for yourself. Anyway, free stuff. Love free stuff. Talk to chapter there. Free. 100% free. Anyway, I want to do what I can to help you in this community with free stuff. That is my dedication to you. And as always, I'm sticking to it. Anyway, after you talk to them, drop a comment down below. Use the word chapter within your comment. Let me know how it goes. That's the keyword I search for. I'll grab your comment and I'll add it to my ongoing list. And I would love to see what you have to say. I love hearing the success stories. I love hearing about the money people are saving. I love hearing about the better coverage people are getting. It's what makes doing this worthwhile. All right, anyway, enjoy your day. Hope this helps you. Please have a nice day. Subscribe down below. 100% free. Big subscribe button right there. Please share the video with anyone you think might benefit from this information. If you know someone who's filing their taxes right now, if you know someone who's on Medicare or about to turn 65, share this with them. Help me get this information out to more people who need it. Otherwise, until next time, have a nice day, take care, and I'll catch you again later on in the next video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of this community, and I'll see you soon.